Stockton rapper is now behind bars in Arkansas on felony charges. 21-year-old Jaymani Gorman, also known as EBK Jaaybo. He was arrested Sunday on drug and weapons charges after being released from prison back in March. He was serving a year for illegal gun possession. The rapper was set to go on tour this fall as part of the NBA Young Boys American Stadium Tour. Gorman is...
He cut off both of his ankle monitors and he fled to Arkansas.
Why? But
mind you, before the NBA Young Boy concert tour was announced, the ankle monitors were already cut off.
In today's deep dive on hood lore, we're pulling the curtain back on one of the most raw, polarizing, and enigmatic figures to emerge from the unforgiving streets of Northern California, EBK Jaaybo. To some, he's a lyrical prophet of pain, a street poet who gives voice to the voiceless and turns trauma into music that resonates far beyond Stockton. To others, he's a ticking time bomb, a young man who torched his own future through reckless decisions, volatile behavior, and unrelenting loyalty to a street code that often leads nowhere but death or a cell. But what does it really mean to crash out? Is it a single moment of self-destruction or a tragic pattern of choices forged by broken systems, systemic neglect, and inherited survival instincts? Is EBK Jaaybo just another cautionary tale bound for tragedy, or is he a misunderstood product of his environment, doing what he must to stay alive and stay true? Forget the rumors, forget the clout-chasing takes, forget the Reddit threads and the headlines designed to get clicks. Let's go deeper. Let's peel back the layers and unpack the complex, layered reality behind the name, EBK Jaaybo. Welcome to Stockton, California. Not the postcard version of the Golden State, the Stockton that rarely makes the tourist brochures. It's a place that's often ignored until tragedy strikes, a city that ranks high in crime and low in hope. Stockton is economically battered, socially overlooked, and generationally bruised. And it's the place EBK Jaaybo calls home. Born into a world of instability and street politics, Jaaybo never had the luxury of innocence. His father's frequent incarcerations left a void filled not by teachers or role models, but by the streets. In South Stockton, childhood is short. Kids aren't playing tag. They're learning loyalty, survival, and the importance of standing 10 toes down. The neighborhood becomes your teacher, your protector, and your battlefield. Out of this crucible came the EBK movement, short for Everybody Killa. But this wasn't just a rap brand or internet gang. It was and still is a deeply entrenched street ethos. Alongside figures like EBK Young Jock and EBK Backdoe, Jaaybo rose through the ranks. But even within that fierce collective, Jaaybo shined differently. He wasn't just another shooter with a mic. He had presence. He had a sharpness, a gravitas. When he rapped, it wasn't for shock value. It was testimony. His music became his survival guide, his coping mechanism, and his platform. He wasn't trying to be a role model. He was just being real. And for many, that raw honesty hit harder than anything on the radio. While most teens were applying for after-school jobs or prepping for finals, Jaaybo was going viral. His early tracks, gritty, unfiltered, and heartbreakingly personal, felt more like therapy sessions than rap songs. Letter 4, The Streets, Until Then, and Da Truth painted pictures of loss, loyalty, betrayal, and revenge with unflinching realism. What made him stand out wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. Jaaybo's delivery had a heavy, almost dead-eyed calmness to it. No forced hype, no commercial polish, just cold, matter-of-fact storytelling from someone who had lived every bar. That emotional detachment gave his music gravity. It didn't feel like entertainment, it felt like truth. Unlike many up-and-coming rappers who eventually sanitized their image for label deals and wider appeal, Jaaybo doubled down. He posted videos with firearms. He dropped names in diss tracks. He issued unfiltered threats. He didn't just document the trenches, he invited the world into them. But that rawness, that unapologetic authenticity came with a price. Labels kept their distance. Promoters ghosted. He was seen as a risk, not an investment. And law enforcement, they weren't listening to the music. They were building a case. In their eyes, Jaaybo wasn't an artist. He was a gang leader with a microphone. When rising fame meets unresolved street beef, especially in the era of digital warfare, things escalate fast. In Jaaybo's case, that escalation was practically inevitable. As his profile grew, so did the target on his back. His feuds weren't just social media spats. They were real-world, life-or-death battles. Diss tracks turned into warning shots. Ops clapped back with music and violence of their own. It was Stockton's version of urban warfare, fought with 808s and extended clips. In 2021, things hit a boiling point. Jaaybo was arrested on serious charges. The details were murky, but law enforcement didn't see an entertainer. They saw an instigator. He became a high-priority case. This wasn't about rap lyrics. It was about neutralizing a perceived threat. Yet even behind bars, Jaaybo kept his presence alive. Fans got jail freestyles, leaked tracks, and snippets from phone calls. The music kept coming, but something else began to show: reflection. Jaaybo started speaking on fatherhood, on consequences, on pain and regrets. For the first time, there was a crack in the armor. Still, moments of introspection weren't enough to suggest a full pivot. More charges followed, more silence. The industry moved on, but the streets, they stayed watching. Let's break it all the way down. Crashing out is more than just a bad decision. It's a chain reaction. It's when someone with potential, talent, and vision flames out before reaching their peak. Not always by choice, sometimes by design. When your environment is toxic, your trauma is untreated, your role models are locked up or dead, and your loyalty is weaponized, what do we expect? So is EBK Jaaybo a crash out? To industry insiders? Probably. He never locked in a major deal. He didn't hit the national stage. He didn't do the press runs or play the politics. To them, he's another talented artist who couldn't leave the streets behind. But in the streets, especially in Stockton, he's already an icon. He never switched sides, never polished his image, never turned his back on EBK. That kind of authenticity is rare, and it comes with both respect and risk. His arc is reminiscent of other cautionary tales. YNW Melly, who stood on the brink of stardom before his murder case took over the headlines. Tay K, who had a viral moment only to fade into prison bars. Even NBA Youngboy, whose genius and instability constantly pull him in opposite directions. Jaaybo had all the tools: the presence, the lyricism, the lived experience that made his music feel like a documentary. But perhaps deep down, he never truly believed that an escape was real or even possible. When survival becomes your primary skill set, dreaming starts to feel like a luxury reserved for someone else. The blocks he came from didn't sell hope. They sold fear, protection, and retaliation. And when all you've ever known is pain, even the idea of success can seem foreign, maybe even suspicious. It's not always a lack of ambition that stops someone. Sometimes it's the absence of an image of success untouched by violence, untouched by loss. Because if every version of making it you've seen came with a body count or a court case, what does winning even look like? Jaaybo might not be done. He might just be looking for a version of success that doesn't feel like betrayal. His jail calls say it all. One minute he's speaking on legacy and his son. The next he's doubling down on EBK loyalty. It's the eternal street dilemma: grow or stay solid. Either way, there's a price. So is he a crash out? Or is he a catalyst for a new chapter? Here's what's certain. EBK Jaaybo is still young. His catalog is deeper than most of his peers. His influence in Northern California rap is locked in. But potential without direction is a fast route to nowhere. The real question isn't about his past. It's about what comes next. Can he break the cycle? Can he pivot? Not for clout, not for critics, but for himself and his son. We've seen comebacks before. Gucci Mane, Meek Mill, Boosie. All of them bounce back from dark chapters. But redemption requires more than talent. It takes distance, strategy, discipline. It means leaving familiar faces behind and choosing growth over loyalty. And that's never easy. In 2025, Jaaybo made headlines again. reportedly arrested 3 separate times in a single year. At one point, he allegedly removed not just 1, but 2 court-ordered ankle monitors. That's not just reckless, that's screaming for help, for control, or maybe both. Still, amid the chaos came a surprise. Jaaybo was slated to join NBA YoungBoy on the 2025 Massa Tour, a massive platform that could have reshaped his narrative. Rumors swirled he was dropped due to his legal troubles, but new reports, including one from TMZ, suggest he might be released before the tour begins and might still perform. So maybe the story isn't finished. Maybe the Crashout isn't complete. Let us know what you think. Is EBK Jaaybo beyond saving, or is his greatest chapter still unwritten? This is Hood Lore. Hit that like, subscribe, and stay tuned.